Alright, Houston Rockets fans deserve better than this. Now, some might say they have some of the most annoying fans in the league, and that is true a lot of times, but I will counter that with just saying I think they actually have some of the most passionate fans in the league. They defended Harden like that man was the fucking messiah, even though he had all of his obvious flaws. All they wanted was see him win a chip. And I see it on Twitter all the time, I've seen it in my comments sometimes. You guys are just passionate. I get it. But you guys might have to jump ship on this team because you deserve better than this new owner, Fertitta, who is horrible, and this new GM with Raphael Stone, because this Harden trade is a fucking mess. It is. I mean, it's hard to say it's completely backfired because they still have all of these picks, but the whole idea, Raphael Stone just said something recently like, oh, you can't even assess the trade until 2030 because that's once we have all this time to let our picks develop and stuff. You traded for every pick that you could until 2027, and then you got pick swaps up until that point for alternating years, since you can't trade your first round draft pick twice in a row. So essentially you got 4 unprotected picks and then a bunch of pick swaps, which you might not even get because chances are you're going to be worse than Brooklyn for a while now. You might get this pick swap in 2026, I believe is the last pick swap, and maybe in 2024. Who knows what the league's going to look like in 3 years. But teams in general, and not just Houston, OKC, New Orleans, excuse me, they've accumulated all these draft picks, and I trust OKC because they have a fantastic front office and they find talent all over the place. New Orleans, who knows if those picks are going to be good. Anthony Davis is probably still going to be on the Lakers for a long time, so they're probably not going to be super high lottery picks or anything like that. But they also did get, Ingram, Lonzo, and Josh Hart, which are all good players. But Houston just basically got picks because they traded, they got Oladipo back, they got Karooks back, they got someone else back. Anyways, I know they traded Oladipo for Avery Bradley and Kelly Olynyk, and they basically got role players. They got guys that might not even be in the league in a couple years, and then all of these picks that might not even be in the lottery until 2025, 6, and 7. Definitely by 2027. It's odd to say that the best part of the Harden trade for Houston is this 2027 pick, because Brooklyn will probably be bad by then. KD will probably be retired. Harden will be 38. Kyrie will be 35. Probably, I mean, let's be honest, they probably won't even be on the team by then. So, cool. You'll have these great picks. Maybe. You'll have, hopefully, these great picks in 7 years. But then you get back to the idea of, getting a pick is great. Getting a lottery pick is great. But that's not a guaranteed player. If you're Houston, you had the chance to get Ben Simmons. You had the chance to get, I don't know, Kristaps Porzingis even, or Jaylen Brown. You don't even need somebody at Ben Simmons' caliber. But the fact that they just didn't get an established asset for James Harden is ridiculous. It's luck now. If this trade works out, it's 100% luck. And I don't think people realize, they get blinded by the idea of, a lottery pick. But most of the time, if you go through lotteries, I pulled up the 2016 draft in a second, I'll get to that. Half the players don't really end up being anything special. A lot of times more than half, actually. And the reason I pulled up the 2016 draft is before I sat down to make this video, I was thinking, what's the most, in the moment, what was the most, average type draft? Because there's been some drafts recently that have been hyped up, this is a deep draft, there's a lot of good players. And there's some drafts, this past one, this 2020 draft, that we were it's not very good. There's not a whole lot of talent in the lottery. And, it's actually kind of been surprising. There's been some decent players that I wouldn't have thought have been as good in this previous draft, excuse me. But anyways, I pulled up the 2016 draft, and I just wanted to go through the lottery picks here. And one, we had Ben Simmons going 1. Great player, great pick. First overall pick, should be great, Brandon Ingram and Jaylen Brown went 2 and 3. Other great players, all-star caliber guys. Cool. Top 3 is cool. Number 4, we have Dragan Bender, who is not in the league anymore, and was horrible when he did play. At 5, you have Chris Dunn, who is barely in the league, who has he even gotten off the bench for Atlanta this year, or has he been injured all year? Yeah, he's been injured all year for Atlanta. And it's not like he was any good in Chicago. He averaged a smooth 7 points a game on nothing special with his shooting splits. 6, you had Buddy Hield, solid player, never played winning basketball though, has been demanding a trade for like the last 2 years, hasn't been happy. Now, in his defense, he has been playing for Sacramento, which is a horrible franchise as well. But, you know, he's okay. 7, you have Jamal Murray. That's a good pick at that, or good value at that place, excuse me. Jamal Murray's great when he's, when he's on. And, Denver's just a good team, smart team. At number 8, you have Marquise Chris, barely in the league. I don't think he's played this year. I know he's got a broken leg right now. He played a little bit this year. He played 2 games this year. And now he's on San Antonio, and he's probably just going to ride out his contract in San Antonio, and then nobody's probably going to re-sign him this offseason because he showed no improvement. I don't really think he has promise anymore. He's been in the league 5 years, which is another reason why I chose this draft, because everybody at this point, we kind of know who they are, Not a good lottery pick, Number 9, we have Jakob Poeltl, role player. Number 10, we have Thon Maker, who the hell does Thon Maker even play for now? Is it Cleveland? Oh my god, it is Cleveland. Guys, I watched way too much NBA to know that Thon Maker's on the Cavaliers. He played 8 games for the Cavs, scored a smooth 4 points a game. Great. At number 11, Sabonis. Good pick, right? You just had 3 bad picks in a row. Balanced it out with Sabonis. 12, you had Taurean Prince. Whatever. Shot chucker. We're still waiting to see if he can be a good player on a good team. Kind of seems like an empty stats guy, but he's fun to watch sometimes. 13, you had Georgios Papagiannis. Not even in the league anymore. Only played 2 years in the league. Wasn't very good. 14, you have Denzel Valentine at the end of the lottery, who is still playing for Chicago, right? Yeah, he's still playing for Chicago. I don't know. Chicago fans seem to be split on Denzel Valentine, but at the end of the day, he's a role player. Scores like 6 points a game or some shit. Doesn't do much. Sometimes he plays tough defense, can hit a 3-point shot. Out of that lottery, where's the franchise-changing player? There's Ben Simmons, who I would consider that. I don't know if I would consider Jaylen Brown a real franchise player. He's great. He's an all-star. I'm not sure if he's at that level. Brandon Ingram, same thing. He's yet to show that he can win games, being the guy. And Jamal Murray is a sidekick. Those are the best players in that draft. And that was considered like a pretty average draft. So if you're Houston circling all the way back, you gotta hope for it to be a good draft. You gotta hope you get one of the 5 players out of the 14 lottery picks that are actually good. And that's just like, the odds of that are just getting slimmer and slimmer and slimmer when you could have just had an established asset. You could have just gotten a player that you know is good and built around that player. Unbelievable. Houston fans, please think about being a fan of another team, at least for the next decade. I don't want to see you suffer. I really don't. This is coming out of a place of love because I love basketball too. And if my team made this trade, I would be pissed.